Hello everyone, Semi-Retired Bob here. I talk about the carnivore diet, all things related to the carnivore diet, and miscellaneous odds and ends. Today we're going to talk about processed meat just a little bit. Before we get into that, if you're new to the channel, I'd like to say welcome. I'm glad you're here. You may be asking yourself, Bob, what in the world are we watching here? Well, basically, you're watching me walk. Now, what makes this semi-interesting is that a little over a year ago, I couldn't do this. Now, with the results I've had from the carnivore diet, not only, can I stand for more than 2 to 2.5 minutes without severe pain, I'm out here walking every day. Well, not walking out here every day anymore because it's been kind of cold and nasty here, but today it's 82 degrees and the sun is shining, which makes it really nice. I'm not going to go for a long walk today because I had a lot of stuff going on this morning. It's already 2:30 in the afternoon. But I am going to take a little walk here. So, the main purpose of this channel is to show you that it's never too late to change your life. I'm just a few days short of my 60th birthday. I started carnivore the day before my 59th birthday, so it's only been a year. And if you tune in next Tuesday, I'll give you the complete rundown of everything that's happened to me over that year. It's been a pretty amazing ride. For those of you returning to the channel, welcome back. I'm glad you're here. For those that have watched me for some time, I can tell you that I'm working my way up that first big hill that I used to have to stop 2 or 3 times on just to take a breathing break. And here very quickly I'll be at the top of this big hill. Since you're still here, why don't you go ahead and subscribe. Hit that subscribe button down there. It's absolutely free, doesn't cost you a thing. Go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and leave me a comment down below. Say hi, Bob, or whatever you feel like saying to me today. Any interaction with the channel helps things out. And while, yes, I personally do want to grow, the main thing I want is for this message to get out there to absolutely everybody. Now, do I think everybody needs to do a carnivore diet? Not really. But I do think everybody needs to know that it is an option. And it's a healthy option. So if you could help me out, you don't have to share my videos. Find a Dr. Barry video or a Dr. Chafee video or a Dr. Mason video. Share those with somebody. We just need to get this word out there. Because we're battling, and it's not just the food companies, it's not just the pharmacy companies, it's the standard way of thinking that has been ingrained into everybody over the course of the last 40, 50, even 60 years. I mean, I grew up in a household. My mom was a registered nurse. We always had skim milk in the fridge because that was healthy. We always had margarine instead of butter because that was healthy. You know, we've heard the same stuff for all these years, and it's really hard to get people to change their thinking about stuff they've known as fact since they were little kids. You know, one of the examples I like to use is growing up, we were always told, if you get a cold, drink some orange juice, because vitamin C is really good to help combat a cold. Well, come to find out there was no science behind that, and it's been 10-15 years ago now, maybe even longer, because I lose track of time as I get older for knowing, you know, how long ago stuff was. It could have been yesterday, it could have been 25 years ago. But come to find out, I gotta pause for just a second here. Somebody's got some really good looking rose bushes up there already. Yes, indeed. But, you know, come to find out, vitamin C has no effect on a cold. I never really understood how vitamin C could affect a virus like a cold, but you know, people say the same thing over and over and over again with surety and conviction. People will believe them. I believed it, even though there was no science behind it. And we have a lot of that going on. The primary thing I want to talk about today, because of the price of meat in so many places, a lot of people are saying, well, what about some of the processed meats I can get? I can do that, and it's a lot cheaper. And when I say processed meats, you still have to be careful about how many carbs you're getting. You know, Spam has carbs in it. But keep track, and you'll be all right. And just make sure you keep your carbs under 20 or so. Or you can look at the Armour pork luncheon meat. That has half the carbs. It doesn't taste nearly as good as Spam, but it does have half the carbs. But other than that, you know, there's Vienna sausages is a processed meat. All of the lunch meats at the deli counter, many of those you'll find have no carbs in them. Pepperoni, salami, that kind of stuff, whether you're getting it from the deli counter or you're buying just the cheap stuff in a bag. Now, the cheap stuff in a bag tends to have a little bit more carb to it than the stuff you get from the deli counter. And if you ask the people there at the deli counter, they can tell you how many carbs per serving each of those meats have. You know, roast beef typically has none. Chicken and turkey typically have none, unless it's a flavored chicken or turkey. So there's a lot of choices out there for processed meats. Now, of course, the big thing that people always worry about with processed meat, besides the carb, and I think I've pretty well covered that, is people are always worried about nitrates and nitrites. Some of you will remember, and again, this is one of those things that I have trouble remembering for how long ago it's been. I want to say it was, again, about 15 years ago or so, where there was a big brouhaha about bacon. Bacon being another processed meat, by the way. Some of those are better than others, but I never met a piece of bacon I didn't like. But there was a big stink saying that you shouldn't eat bacon because it was loaded with nitrates and nitrites. And they had all these big pseudo studies to show you why. the nitrates and the nitrites were bad for you. And everybody believed them because they said it with conviction and they said it enough. Well, now come to find out, not only are they not nearly as bad for you as they think they are, because one of the main things they were talking about with these pseudo studies was how bad it was for your blood pressure. Oh, it's terrible for your blood pressure. Your blood pressure is going to go sky high if you eat too much bacon. You should have turkey bacon, or fakin as I like to call it, because real bacon comes from a pig. Although I've seen some people making bacon out of beef belly, and that looks like it'd be pretty good too, but to be real bacon, it's got to come from a pig, as far as I'm concerned. You don't have to agree with me on that. I'd prefer you do agree with me. You know, we always like to hang out with people that agree with us more than disagree with us, but you don't have to agree with me on the bacon issue. Okay, I think I'm far enough away that you can hear me again now. Of course, now with flashbacks to North Carolina, there's a plane going overhead. We actually do have an air base here as well, but in North Carolina, the air base was just a few miles up the road. Here, the air base is about 25 miles in that direction. So their flight paths very rarely bring them over my neighborhood. Every once in a great while, like today, I can hear one, but they don't get nearly as close as they did down there in North Carolina. But anyway, so bacon, another processed meat, nitrates, nitrites, that's where we were. Because, you know, it's going to make your blood pressure go wonky. It's going to do all sorts of bad things. It may even promote certain kinds of cancers. And as we found out, all of that research was sloppy at best and downright fabrications in some cases. Because, you know, as Professor Case, you know, says, a lot of these studies, they just do food questionnaires and then they do what they call adjusting the data, which basically means they take the answers they don't like, crumple them up, throw them over their shoulder into the trash can, and make up numbers they do like. That's adjusting the numbers. But the real telling thing for me on why I'm not worried about all the processed meats I ate in the first 3 or 4 months of my carnivore journey, and some of the things that I really like I'm going to add back in, like some sausages to go with the shrimp I'm planning on buying. I still think that's what I'm going to have for my birthday next Tuesday. But the most telling thing for me is that there is currently, and you don't have to take my word for it, you can look it up, there is currently a new blood pressure medicine working its way through the approval process. Now, if you're at all familiar with what the approval process is, this can take, you know, fast-tracked stuff like we've seen recently. That can happen in just a month or two. But the normal procedure can take a year to 2 years. But this new blood pressure medicine, yep, you guessed it, it's based on nitrates. Because they have shown in their testing that nitrates can help lower the blood pressure. Isn't that interesting? That gives you something to think about. Got to pause here for just a second. I want to get up here underneath this tree where I have just enough shade so I can see the timer on my phone. Yeah, by the time I subtract out that little minute section back there, that's probably pretty good. This is the point in the video where I'd flip the camera around and show you where I'm walking. But unless this is your first time on the channel, you've seen this route a bunch of times. So I'm just going to say stay tuned. I'll have some final thoughts for you when I get back home. With the magic of editing, it'll be like I was never gone. Well, here I am back at the house. Hopefully this truck isn't super loud. Just as I'm walking up, a truck pulls up, a semi with what looks like bags of mulch to be unloaded or something. So he's parked right here on my street. His motor's making some noise, but we should still be okay. But anyway, so if, basically I think the whole argument against nitrates and nitrites is bunk. If you happen to think you have a study that will stand up to scrutiny, feel free to go ahead and send it to me. I'm happy to have somebody change my mind. But remember, I'm going to not only analyze it myself, but I'm going to send it to a couple of friends of mine that are very good at looking at studies. So it better be a really good study that stands up to scrutiny. I have had one quick thought before I let you go. I've had some comments talking about, Bob, it doesn't look like you're walking quite as much as you were down in North Carolina. What's going on? Well, because I'm doing so much other stuff now. I'm going to the Y to walk hard in the pool, and I'm going to the Y to lift weights. I'm using resistance bands here. I'm still doing, sit-ups and push-ups and squats and that kind of stuff on my weight training days. I'm doing a lot of other stuff, so what I've been doing so far is using the days like today where I walk somewhere between 1 and 1.5 miles. Some days I may expand it up towards 2 miles, but I don't want to go over 2 miles because the shorter walking days are like rest days, because I'm at the point now, because of the other stuff I'm doing, at the advice of Professor K and Coach Bronson, I'm making sure I get rest days in, and just walking a mile to a mile and a half, even when it's 82 degrees outside, is not really what I would call exercise anymore. It's more of just a keep the juices flowing kind of a day. It's a good rest day, but it still lets me get outside and, have a good day outside. Wait till this guy finishes backing up so his beep, beep, beep thing will shut off. Go forward. Oh, I guess it's going to beep the whole time. Sorry about that, guys. But yeah, that's why I'm not walking quite as much right now. I am still going to go out and do some big trail days, but I'm going to have to make sure that I'm taking a full day and a half to 2 days off prior to that, because a full, 10 to 15 miles on trail with a backpack, that's going to count as a workout. I don't want to overstress my body at this point. But that's what I've got for you today, folks. Don't forget, get out there, be 1% better today, tomorrow, every day. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you in the next one.